What's up, America? How you doing? It's Nick Fury. Um, so this video is a little bit different. I'm trying my laptop camera as opposed to my phone camera, mostly because I'm still getting used to doing videos for you and in front of you. And last night, my phone was giving me a whole bunch of guff. It kept cutting me off at like 5 minute mark, and this video is going to take probably significantly longer. Um, so I apologize about that ahead of time. It's just that once I started thinking about the problem, I started writing out the problem of depression, which is this week's theme. I realized it was serious and it's going to take some time to really explain some of the concepts that we're going to need to talk about and think about in order to move forward. Um, so let's get started. In the future, I do want to be able to knock things down, just like between 5 and 10 minute long videos. I don't want to talk to you to death for too much, but this is why I'm saying themed weeks. If the theme of the week applies to you, I think that you probably would care less about the videos being a little bit longer. So anyway, let's get to it. This week's theme is depression, all right? And I wrote down some notes that I'm going to share with you. So let's start off with the definition of depression as claimed by, other people. Clinical depression is defined as a depression so severe as to be considered abnormal, either because of the lack of obvious environmental causes or the reaction to unfortunate life circumstances that is more intense or prolonged than would generally be expected. It's actually a pretty good definition. It's textbook. That's what that is. Now, when I say textbook, what I mean is that they get the definition exactly right, while at the same time failing to convey any type of understanding for the topic at hand. And this is very common. But it's good. See, the thing is, I wanted to do this video far earlier in the day. Life got in the way, so I just couldn't pull it off. And I'm kind of happy that that happened. Because now, later on, I had some time to do a little bit of research. I had some time to let my mind wander and do its wander thing, which is where Nick Fury does best. And I had this thought. I had this curious idea. And the thought was, I wonder how many of our therapists are currently depressed. So I went to good old Google and I looked it up. And the answers that I found might surprise you, but they in no way surprised me. As it turns out, there's this site that I immediately found. I double-checked a couple other sites as well, but there's a site called British Psychology Today or what have you. I'll put a link in the description. I'll put a link in the description if you like. Sure. Anywho, there is this site called British Psychology Today, and there's an article posted back in 2016 that was investigating this exact topic. And as it turns out, 46% of therapists are either self-proclaimed depressed or going through some kind of substance abuse or both. Now, the thing is, this does not surprise me. And more importantly, when it comes to America, since we have the same general population and the same general problems, this percentage is reflective or should be reflective. Basically, we have the same issues here as they do over there. But wait, it gets better. So the really cool thing about this is that the therapists are not actually even required to go through their own psychotherapy session before they become therapists. They have to go through like a cursory course when they're in training, and that's that. That's it. And what I love about this, so much, is that our people, our therapists, our mental health professionals, in the easiest terms, generally fall now into one of two categories. Either A, they have never had any kind of mental health issues on their own and therefore do not understand intrinsically what it means to go through it. Or B, They currently have mental issues of their own, and they do not know how to get out of it. Brilliant! Like this is just the best. But again, sweet Jesus, this is something that in no way surprises me. I've had this theory now confirmed for quite some years now. It's ultimately part of the reason I really believed in therapy. Never had to go through a therapist myself. Everything I'm about to explain to you, I've gone through on my own. I pulled myself out on my own. Drugs were not necessary. Therapy was not necessary. But I'll go through all those with you over the course of the week. What I mean to say is I'm really glad we're starting here. This is something that I can help with. This is something that I'm good at. And best yet, this will lay the foundation of later points I'm going to be making over and over and over again for the next several years. Because these kind of issues, this is what I mean when I say the word systemic. We have professionals in our society ranging all throughout all aspects of our culture that are missing vital bits in their training that is crucial to doing their job. Either A, we need to have mental health professionals who have a structured formula or some kind of, system that addresses problems that they don't understand what's going on. Or B, you need to have someone who's solved going through it on their own, and we literally have neither. This is crucial to solving mental health. We have police officers. I've met state troopers who've explained to me that they now hire officers. They have full badges, full guns, but we have new cops who've never been in a fight. What? That's crucial. It is hyper important. If you are a peacekeeper, you need to know how to keep the peace, and you need to know how to react when things go wrong. Let's make it personal for you. How many jobs have you had now where your training had nothing at all to do with your job? We've got people who are unqualified, and it's not necessarily the people's fault. I'm not saying that these mental health professionals, I'm not saying that the cops, I'm not saying that yourself, I'm not saying you're bad people. I'm saying your training has been inadequate and skewed. And we need to fix it. When I say systemic, this is what I mean. It invades every aspect of us. And most importantly, the same thing happens in our government. But let's not jump ahead. This week, our theme is depression. For the next 7 days, I'm going to focus on only that. Next 6 days. Sorry, not important. I'm going to focus on that. This is something that I want to help you out with. And more importantly, everything I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. I want to get away from the concept of asking professionals for help, where what we need to do is build a community. Someone somewhere, no matter what problem you're going through, has gone through it. Someone somewhere has an answer for you without a degree or years of schooling and training. Someone somewhere, like myself, wants to help you and not have you pay for it. You shouldn't need to pay for help. You should just be able to ask for help. So, everything I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. Everything I'm about to tell you absolutely works. Now, this is important. The first thing that we need to really understand is that there is different kinds of depression. There are different stages of depression. There's different intensities of depression. So everything I'm going to tell you is true and accurate and right, but it might not be exactly right for your particular situation. Having said that, I'm going to try to keep it as general as possible, and everything I say should apply to 90% of what you're going through. It's going to be up to you for some variations. You can come to me for some support and thoughts about how to get you through. More importantly, I keep saying the word you might not be depressed. This video might not be for you. If you've never gone through depression, you can probably skip this week. But if you have friends who are going through depression, I guarantee you do. If you have anyone that you're concerned about, if you find the topic interesting, stick with me. This is going to get informative for you. It's going to get fun. And we're going to break down a societal stigma that shouldn't exist anymore. So, let's begin. Yep, let's begin. Here's what you need to understand about depression. Most people call depression a form of sadness or rage or some final extreme emotion result, right? This is a solid attempt, but the very first thing you need to understand is that it's inaccurate. Depression is not an emotion. Sorry, I've been drinking. Depression is not an emotion, all right? In the exact same way that pain itself is not an emotion, all right? Depression is a reaction to perceived trauma. You may be sad when you're in pain. You might be in a rage when you're in pain, but it's not the same thing. Those are emotional responses to your situation. Depression is tired. Depression is hopelessness and exhaustion. Depression is confusion and being lost. If I had to sum it up in a single word, I want you to really focus on this. Depression is the ultimate reaction to the feeling of being overwhelmed. That word. I came to that word recently when I was talking to my own father. He used it first, and it was so perfectly appropriate. I think it was the final puzzle in what I needed to make this video. Final puzzle piece. That's the word. You're overwhelmed. So, let's continue. You need to understand that depression is what happens whenever you believe that your life situation exceeds your ability to handle the situation. Best example is, have you ever seen a mess so big that you know you need to clean up and you just don't? Like, you just walk away? That is depression. On a very basic scale, depression is the shutdown. Okay? Now, over the next few days, I'm going to give you some insights that you might not have considered before. And I know for a fact I'm going to say some things that you've never heard before. And here's going to be one of them. Depression can actually be a good thing. It really can. What you need to do in order to transform depression into a good thing is be able to recognize it and to be able to, three things. You need to be able to define it, you need to be able to recognize it, and then you need to own it. Good news, everyone. We just defined it. We are 1/3 of the way there already. All right? And over the next 7 days, we're going to do all the rest. We are going to transform this stigmatized misery into working for something for us. We're going to crawl our way out. We're going to climb. We're going to be better. And if we're really good, we might not ever get here again. And that's the dream. That's the goal. That's the hope. So let's continue a little bit longer, and I'm going to try my best to wrap this up quickly. I don't want to talk your ears off in general. Specifically, come to me with anything. Come to me with questions, comments, concerns. I'm willing to talk to you. Ready to talk to you. Okay, so anyway. Let's explain why depression tends to be so ruthlessly brutal. See, if left unrecognized and therefore unchecked, depression causes a negative loop. It is the ultimate self-fulfilling prophecy. And here's what I mean. The most dangerous thing about depression is that it tends to make perfect freaking sense while you're going through it. Let's take a moment to consider the mechanism and how it's supposed to work. Let's go back to the previous analogy, the previous metaphor I made. You've got a big mess. Kitchen or bedroom? Kitchen. Let's call it the kitchen, right? Let's do the visual in the kitchen. You have a mess in your kitchen, because we can do fun things with that. Okay? You got a mess in the kitchen. You see all the dishes piled up. You see them. You think about, you imagine cleaning them up. And nope, you get tired, you go watch Netflix for 2 hours, and then later on you get up, you clean your dishes. Does that sound familiar? Sure it does. That is the exact same mechanism. That is the mechanism working properly, all right? People do that all the time and never end up in actual depression, okay? Depression is the glitch in the mechanism. Now, let's re-examine that. Let's find the glitch. So, same thing. The glitch is what happens when the mess you perceive is so huge it causes the shutdown. Your kitchen is dirty. You've got the dishes. You don't want to deal with it, right? So you sit down, you watch Netflix for 2 hours, right? Your mind has analyzed the problem. It is determined that it doesn't want to deal with it. And the shutdown is you building up energy to deal with the problem later on. Okay? That's the mechanism working properly. That's you eventually getting up and doing the dishes. When the mechanism fails, your mind is shut down, trying to build the energy to the task that it perceives, and it now believes that the task is so massive you will never get the amount of energy. So it waits. It waits while you build the energy. And the analysis keeps going wrong. The analysis keeps coming back, still not enough energy, still can't fucking do it. Here's the thing, you still gotta eat. Just because your kitchen is filthy does not mean you stop eating or living or breathing. So what do? You start filling dirty dishes wherever there's space. You start littering your counters, your tabletops, your sink full to the brim. Flies start attacking. Comes to the point you can't even think about that room anymore. That's how bad it is. So what do? You start eating out. Now you're spending your resources unnecessarily. You're spending 30 nights a day. You're gaining weight. You're drinking too much. And you come home, you don't like being at home. You don't like inviting your friends because of this giant fucking stinking kitchen that you got that you don't want to show people. And you're tired now. All the time. And you don't understand why. Because it's not like you even did anything today. Now, does that sound familiar? You have to understand. I'm going to wrap up soon. It's been nearly 20 minutes. Thank you for bearing with me. Tonight was supposed to be the overview. Tonight was supposed to define and recognize depression. And I think we've done a decent job of that. Tomorrow, I'm going to go into causes and triggers and the first way that you can build yourself out. It's going to be a shorter video. But here's what I really want you to take away from this. Depression is a natural thing. I don't even really like calling it a mental illness. It is. You're sick. But you're sick in the way that, someone with the flu is sick. You're not sick like Psycho Killer. You're not sick like broken. You are a human being and you're whole and there's nothing wrong with you. If you're going through this, you're not ruined. You're not. I'm going to prove this to you. Okay? I'm going to teach you the ways to stop your mind from ignoring the problems and give you structure about how to solve them. Because the reason you are so tired all the time, even though you don't do anything at all, is because there's a problem that your mind is constantly trying to solve, and it hasn't yet, and that energy is being expended. It's why you can't sleep. It's why you sleep too much. It's why you're waking up in the middle of the night anxious. There's something going on that needs to be solved. We're going to get through this together. And the last thing that I need you to take home is that you are not alone. You are not alone. You are in no way, shape, or form alone. You might think it. You might believe it. You're wrong. At the very least, I'm here, and I love you, and we are going to get this thing solved. So, if there's anything here that sounds even remotely right, which it should, if there's anything here that sounds even remotely familiar, if this has helped you, even just by talking it out, subscribe, like, share the video, whatever this thing is. If you found it on YouTube or on Facebook, get the word out. We are solving this thing. And that's that. Yeah. Thank you for listening to me. I love you, America. I love you specifically. And I'm going to talk to you soon. See you tomorrow.